Small red.
Sharon, you're muted.
We're on mute. So, hey, we already had a technical difficulty. Hey, welcome, everybody. My name is Sherman Krancer. I'm the CEO of the Krancer Group. I want to say thank you for coming to our first event of the year. the Voice of the Microsoft Partner. It's our roundtable, right? We're changing the format a little bit from the last couple of years. Gosh, we've been doing this for about 4 or 5 years now. Our format change is going to be based on how do we. We're going to have 3, basic topics, but we would like to get the feedback from the partner group. A lot more feedback than we've gotten in the past. We want to allow you to get off of mic and ask us questions. Really, there's 3 really, I think, big topics that we're going to be covering today, and we really want your feedback. We want questions because there's a lot of little nuances that are coming from this. So we are actually recording this particular, oh, good, it's already started, perfect. We're actually recording this, so if you don't want to be recorded, please leave and we'll go ahead and provide you a link to this afterwards. So, first event of the year, we're really excited. We've got some good speakers today, but more importantly, what we're really looking for is ask us questions. One of the things is we're experts when it comes to the Microsoft ecosystem. We really are. That's all we do all day long. Me and my team. You're going to meet a couple of my team members here in just a few moments. However, we understand these things, and so we have some key topics that are coming up. We have some polls that are going to be actually putting out there, and the polls are just to kind of see where you're at, what you think about what we're talking about. Now, we are not going to present your name or who you are as a poll, person that you're putting some stuff in there, right? We're not going to do that. We're actually going to just show potentially what people are actually thinking and what they're not thinking on some of those things. So we'll do some polls. We'll have some fun. But really, what I want to do is have more of a discussion, a roundtable. I want your opinions. I want to hear from you because I think what we can do is we can take back some of this information and go back to Microsoft to affect change. One of the cool things is we're tied very directly to the Worldwide Partner Group. We just conducted 4 different roundtables for them. These are very small on packaging, on some items that could potentially help smooth things out from a partner perspective. So we'd like to take some of this information and kind of get going. So buckle up here. We've got about an hour of content to kind of go over. Let me go ahead and move this next slide here. One moment. Over here. So on the agenda for today, what's going on here? Just the welcome message. Welcome to 2025. Now it was a whole new year. We're looking forward to this. There's a lot of cool things happening. And really the guise of this is turning pain points into revenue, right? That's what we're doing. And the first thing I want to do is actually introduce one of our guest speakers today. His name is Dailo Barker from Dream Big Tech. Hey, Dailo, would you be willing to introduce yourself to the crew here and a little bit about your company and what you do?
Sure. Thanks, Sherman, and thanks for the Crancer Group. To get to know you, we have in the last few years and even closer this past month or two working with partners. But Dream Big Tech is a company that provides solutions and revenue generations and MSP transformers for the channel distribution ecosystem. Is very dynamic, as we've seen recently. As a company, was founded with over 12 years experience from an enablement value partner that recently, and we brought along about 40 team members that we've had experience the last 12 years as well to provide solutions to assist VARs, MSPs, CSPs, and create those methods to accelerate in all of those. And as the title of the event's about turning pain points into revenue. So very, very tuned into that and looking forward to this discussion. And thank you again, Sherman, for this.
Wonderful. Dailo's got an amazing amount of experience. He's been in the channel forever. Got a really large group of folks that he influences as well. And we're just really happy to have him here to kind of weigh in on some of these topics that we're going to be talking about. So as on my screen here it is, we'll have his contact information for you afterwards if you want to get a hold of him. That was great individual, always willing to talk to folks, give them some ideas, and see if maybe you can work with him on some things moving forward. All right, so the key topics today that we want to do, sorry, I need to go ahead and introduce the rest of my team who's actually here. I apologize. Look at this. We got the switching equipment together. Andres and Phil, you want to introducing yourself and your role here at the Crancer Group?
It's a pleasure. Thanks everybody for coming out here. My name is Andres Oseeda. I'm the Director of Partner Alliances here at the Crancer Group. Me and Phil, we work with partners every single day. We talk about Microsoft programs, incentives, all that fun stuff. So if you have any questions about Microsoft, I'm your go-to guy, and it's a pleasure to see everybody here.
Phil?
Yeah, my name is Phil Kent. I'm the PM here for Alliance. I'm here just because of my looks, but no, I'm here helping Andres with our partners in the Alliance program, and yeah, we're just ready to help you guys.
All right. Now back to the switching equipment here. This is so cool. All right. So yeah, these are our 4 topics today. Now, if you could go to the chat window, there's a couple other things too. We always like to use this as a networking opportunity as well. So if you want to type in your name, your company, what you specialize in, and maybe geography, that might be a good idea. This way, if you're a partner here on the West Coast and you're like, hey, I could use a partner, in the East Coast to help me out with XYZ PDQ. There might be an opportunity for you guys to get together. I'm always open to making sure that we can make connections together. We're better together than we are apart. Always. We're always better together if we do that. So please go ahead and do that. Now, number 2, if you have a question regarding some of the things that we're talking about, please put your hand up. You can use the raise button, right? On Teams, we all are Microsoft partners, so we should know what this button is. I'm not going to explain to you how to use it because if you don't know, call somebody. I can't help you with that. But raise your hand, and then what we'll do is we'll take you off mic and actually bring you in. Or if you have questions, go ahead and put it into the meeting chat. Because I'll go ahead and do that. Now, we have the rest of my team, as you can see here. We've got Riva and Tyler, and we've got about 6 or 7 people on this that we are really, monitoring the chat, monitoring the polls. Will be talking to me kind of in my ear, kind of a type of thing. So really want to do that. So the 4 key topics that we're getting into is 1, gold and silver competency going away. What does that actually mean? Number 2, solution partner designations. There's a new thing that's coming out as of the 1st, and actually something even bigger. I'm going to talk about the AMM thing. Talk about that. We're going to get into policy, governance, and security. And then the 4th topic we have time is really leveraging partnerships. That's what we want to figure out, is how to leverage partnerships, right? In my opinion, always want to leverage partnerships if we possibly can, right? With that. So those are really the 4 key topics. Let's go ahead and kind of get into, the very first one, and I'm going to bring in Andres here. Let's talk a little bit about gold and silver competency going away. So Andres, can you go ahead and kind of give a brief rundown of really what's happening and what does that really mean to partners in our ecosystem?
Yeah, no, it's one of the biggest, one of the most important items that if you're a partner, you need to make sure that you're staying on top of. This program, Legacy Silver, Legacy Gold, it's an older program. It's gotten extended now multiple years, and Microsoft finally said, okay, this is it. We're not going to be extending it any longer. That date has actually already passed. So if you have, your renewal that already took place before January, I believe 21st of this year, congratulations, you have your rebates intact for the time being. Now, for the vast majority of partners out there who had renewals after January 1st of this year, you are now in a select group where we've got to figure things out. We need to make a move, and we need to strategize how we're going to go and actually attain that solution partner designation. The primary reason this matters is your incentives, your rebates, your capabilities as a partner are going to be dramatically diminished if you don't have that SPD in place. And so for a lot of you out there who maybe have that Legacy Silver, that Legacy Gold, you've been utilizing that for the last 3, 4, 5 years, if you haven't put together a strategy as to how you're going to go and obtain that solution designation, we need to do that ASAP. Phil, would you mind filling in the group maybe on some of the reasons why a lot of partners are struggling to attain the designation today, some things they might be able to think about and moving forward?
Yeah, I think some of the things that we see, at least, helping partners out. beginner designation is, either the certifications, right? Getting those certifications, because maybe you're not a big group, right? You don't have 50 plus people, maybe you only have like 5 to 10 people. So getting those certifications are probably one of the biggest roadblocks. I think too is how Microsoft actually, calculates the point system in that too as well, because you could get, new customers, but you don't see your usage go up per se, right? So there's a lot of fine, minute things that happen, but I think the biggest thing is the certifications is what actually I see the most.
There's a ton of nuance there, you guys. There's different categories we can get into, but really the overarching thing that I want you guys to take away from this is that if you haven't done an audit of your partner center and analyzed your current customer base and track that in conjunction with what's currently present in partner center, there's a very high likelihood that there's some breakage there. We see that. It's one of the most common things you'll see. You've got 25, 30 customers in your CRM. You open up a partner center, there's only 20 of them. We got to figure that out. So definitely one of the most important things going into this new year, we need to plan out and figure out for your business.
So we've talked to a lot of partners recently, Andres and Phil, about this. And when we look up, one of the things that we do is what we want you to do is go to your partner center and then go to membership. That's really where you're going to see. And right away, when you do membership, the overview will pop up. And that's where you're going to see specifically when your gold or silver expires. Okay, when does it expire, right? And that's really what you should be thinking of, because just like Andres was saying, and Phil, all of your incentives go away. Bye, see you later. And if you don't have this under management, and you're not working at it, it could be significant. We talked to a partner yesterday that had $160,000 in incentives that are going to go away in 2 months, and they don't have their SPD, the solution partner designation. Really big problem, right? And we told them, you got that many reasons as to why you want to figure that out. But silver and gold are going to be going away. I'm curious. I'm going to go back over to Andres here in a second about that. But are there any questions, from the audience here regarding silver and gold and the end of it? I'm curious. So go to the chat window or raise your hand, and I would love to hear what your thoughts are. So Andres, if I'm going to go back to you, on this, what other examples have you seen with partners that are losing this and the impact that's going to happen?
I'll give you guys a small little nuance that you might not be fully aware of. So let's say you just won an Azure customer from another partner who's servicing that account. Something that a lot of partners are not aware of is that a PAL association actually basically phases out when the tenant and the partner of record is switched. So let's say, for example, you've got a customer A that you just closed on a recent deal, and they were working with Phil's partner organization. Well, just because you brought that deal over doesn't mean that that's automatically going to be reflected in your partner center. You're going to actually have to go through that process of associating that customer with your business. In this case, it would be with PAL for an enterprise account. If we're talking about business applications or modern work, it might be a CSP or CPOR claim. There's a lot of nuance there. But the key piece, the most important thing that you need to understand is that if you don't identify every single customer that you're working with in your partner portal, you are not taking full advantage of Partner Center. And that's probably one of the most common things that you'll see with partners is you guys are focused on closing deals, right? You're focused 24 hours a day trying to service these clients. And so you don't have somebody in there in Partner Center managing all these different little things. And when you open up a ticket, it's a nightmare trying to get it figured out. So, there's a lot of different things that I think as long as you put a process in place to manage this, you guys are going to be fine. But if it's something that you're just letting go by because you're focused on other things, you need to figure out a way to get a fix.
So, Eric, why don't you come off of mute? You got an interesting viewpoint there. I'd love to come on camera too, unless you're in that haunted forest you mentioned earlier. Maybe you can't. But Eric, why don't you go ahead and put your question up there, and we'll respond to it.
Yeah, I put it in chat. Just I'm represent an ISV, and we did the gold and silver thing for many years. We were a managed partner at one time, but from the customers that we worked with really didn't seem to care about that designation. So although we got some value out of Microsoft, the ROI on it just didn't really seem like it was worth it.
And
It didn't help us. It didn't help us win customers. We didn't lose customers because we didn't have the designation. And so I'm wondering going forward, if customers, do they care about these designations?
So it's an interesting viewpoint. So my personal viewpoint, and this is not the viewpoint of Microsoft, but it might seem like it kind of is. Okay, but this is my personal viewpoint. Is you have to think about Azure and you have to think about M365 and Dynamics. If you look at the last 5 years, there's over 10,000 new workloads, right? Azure in itself, it's like 6,000. They just keep innovating, right? If you look at 365, now you have Copilot too, and then all the security features, right? It just keeps evolving, and it's hard to say that you're an expert at all 5,000 or all 10,000, right? And I think that's what I like about the SPDs, the solution partner designation, is you can actually say, you know something, we specialize in data and AI, and we have a solution partner designation that, Microsoft has put us through this. We had to get these particular certifications, and we are. I do believe if you're able to say that in front of another or competing partner, and they say no, they don't have that, that will differentiate yourself. And I think, but part of that discussion is explaining what happens or what it takes to get an SPD, as opposed to the gold and silver. Last point I'll put on there. I think one of the main reasons that they went that way is also because there was just too many people who could easily qualify for gold and silver, and it diluted, I think, the effectiveness of really what that was, right? What is that, right? Is it really worth it, right? And I think there's a lot of partners that say, oh, I'm a silver Azure, certification, with Azure, but yet, they've never deployed, a simple, maybe they've deployed 3 or 4 things, right? But they don't even understand that there's 5,000 other workloads. Can they do a modern data warehouse? They have no clue. They have no clue on doing that, right? They're basic infrastructure. So I do believe that but I agree with you. I think it got diluted, but I think the SPD actually does show that you are specialized. Does that make sense to you?
It does, and that's my experience too. Even with the gold and silver, if you didn't explain what it took to get it, it's of no value. But then you have to spend your time doing that versus focusing on what the problem is you're trying to solve. So it's kind of right? I mean, you've got that choice. Do I tell them what this is, or do I tell them how we can solve their problem?
Exactly. Very good. All right. Are there any other questions on gold? I mean, it's a pretty simple topic. We want to start it off with the first one, just to say there isn't a lot involved in here. But we can move on to the second topic, really, which is going to be solution partner designations. We want to talk a little bit about this. So Andres, why don't you talk about some of the new announcements that are coming out about the SPD?
Very exciting news. We've been waiting for this announcement for a little time now. We're hoping for it a little bit last year, but thankfully it's coming up now. The SMB path for the Azure Solution Designations will officially be going live tomorrow. So for a lot of partners out there, it's difficult to get a bunch of new Azure deals across the line every single year. And so if you're still growing and you're building out your practice, this is going to be a massive opportunity for you to further develop, bring in those incentives to earn more, turn those pain points into revenue, and really start to differentiate yourself, as we're talking about here in the market. The customer requirements are going to decrease. The certification requirements are going to decrease. And so that's going to make it a lot more attainable for some of these smaller organizations. You know, if you're an organization that's got 5 to 10 people on staff and you need to get 10 different high-level certifications, you understand it might be a little difficult to hit that metric. So, you know, if you've got a small organization out there and you've been waiting for this announcement, massive, massive news. And, you know, it's going to be hopefully very beneficial for you guys moving forward.
Now, I'm going to get into it in just a second, but I want to bring Josh Rogers on. Josh, you want to just get off of mute and get on your video. I want to just talk to you a little bit about, you know, SPDs are replacing the gold and silver, right, model. You know, these are critical for maintaining access to incentives and partner benefits. Give us your perspective on that, because you've been talking to a lot of partners about this.
Yeah, so what a lot of partners don't really understand is the amount of rebates that they potentially could lose. They're, you know, for Microsoft for the past couple of years, they've always said, hey, you can renew your legacy silver and gold. The thing is, it's 2025. It's here. You're going to have to get those SPDs in place. You're going to have to get those SPDs in place. And to really look at your earnings tab, the potential losses that you could, is you go to your home screen, click your earnings tab, click review your previous 12 months, and that should show your indirect, direct, and co-op rebate earnings that you've had. Now, that was your potential last 12 months of earnings. So I'd take that rough estimate and say, okay, is this the average that you're receiving over a 12-month span or a 6-month span? And then you want to calculate that with the net new customers you have upcoming, with the customers you currently have in your earnings tab, and this will show the amount that you could potentially lose when getting these SPDs. And again, I will reiterate this one more time. These SPDs don't happen overnight. It's a process, and you got to get them done. So I'll pass it back to you, Sherman.
I appreciate that. Yeah. You know, you have that SMB path. Also, one of the other things coming out is AMM. So Azure Migrate and Modernize will actually, that's coming out. You're going to be first to know about it, actually. It's actually coming out, I think, next week, where if you have a Azure specialized or Azure SMB path SPD, you will then have access to AMM, which is a deployment dollars, right? It is actually money to help with deployment and kind of helping you accelerate ACR, which is typically reserved only for advanced specialization. Okay, think about this again. Right now, if you look at, you know, there's 4 tiers of partners, right? You have one is just the network partner who's got an MPN ID. The next one is a services partner where you got an MPN ID and you're working with Synex, Tech Data, Ingram, Pax8, right? You're now selling licensing. The next one is you have the solution partner designation, right? Where, okay, now you're getting incentives, right? But an advanced specialization is where you get deployment dollars, accelerated ACR, bounties, as well as MCI, Microsoft Commerce Incentive Workshop type of actions. But now, if you have the SPD in the small business path, holy crap, now you can actually utilize some of this extra type of assessment dollars that are out there. It's really fantastic. It's really something else. But just to kind of reiterate a couple of other things too, for Azure specifically, okay? So in the past, it was $1,000 per month for a client, right? $1,000 in ACR per month would qualify you as a net new customer addition. Now, Microsoft is saying only $500 a month allows you to make that a customer. Also, the other nuance to this is the certification levels to get that SPD have dropped almost by half, which is beautiful, right? Instead of 2 network engineers, you're only going to need 1, right? On the intermediates and then the experts, so it'll be much easier to actually score points. Now, there's 2 other areas to also think about in there, which is growth, right, and enablements. Okay, so one of the coolest things about the SMB path is virtual machines now count as enablements. So all you got to do is turn on those VMs. Boom, you actually now have, they're actually counting towards those points. And then lastly, growth. Growth is also very interesting to think about. You have to be really careful with this because growth should be easy, right? We know that there's a 27% compound annual growth rate, right? 27% compound annual growth rate when it comes to Azure consumption. We know that, right? So it should be easy. But if you lose clients, now that's a problem. And then also you have to think about it from a 12-month rolling average perspective, right? So there's some, not gaming the system, but there's also, it's just more about planning the system, right? Because you're gonna have to look for it. All right, so Deborah, hey Deborah, do you mind coming off of mute or do you want to come on video if you like? But why don't you ask that question? So we want to get more involvement from the group.
Oh, sure. Happy to. I'm not going to get on video today. Thank you. Nice to meet everyone here. So I've been in the partner ecosystem for many, many years. I know there's always change. So I'm just curious, when are these changes coming down about this half certification requirement? Because for those of us that have those partner designations already, what's that going to mean? Does that mean that we're going to get more maybe, or it'll just be easier for us to attain them? So when and what, I guess.
Great
was packed in there.
questions. So the when is tomorrow. So pretty
Oh.
excited. It's coming out tomorrow.
Monday.
Or technically Monday. Everybody's coming back on Monday. But to answer the second question as to, how's that going to impact me? There is also qualifications based on how much ACR you're driving in totality as to whether or not you're going to be taking the SMB path or just the normal path. If you already have a designation today without this SMB path coming out, you're going to be totally fine. You don't have to worry about it. You're already going to be qualified. There's going to be no effort needed from your side. It's just really more an opportunity for the smaller partners who aren't quite there with the certain requirements to get across the finish line.
Oh, the SMB partners. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Got it. Thank you.
And just real quick to address Eric's question, there's different buckets like Sherman mentioned. You've got net customer adds, you've got certifications, you've got deployments, and you've got usage growth. So, to answer the question as to whether or not you're going to get credit for that new Azure consumption, you're not going to get a net add because it's going to be the same customer that you had last year, but you would get the additional deployments and the additional usage growth, assuming they haven't decreased their use across the other services that they're utilizing today. So you still get points for it. There's just a little bit of nuance there. Not always easy.
All right, so actually I want to get to, I've got a couple more things to follow up on this, but I want to bring Dilo in here for just a moment. And Dilo, you've been in the business, you've worked with every distributor, manufacturer around, over the years. How important is it to align with the manufacturer to the highest level of their partner status and the benefits? What would you weigh in on that? What would your response?
Well, I think from that performance, there are always incentive, right? There's always incentives to begin those partnerships. And I think there's a very hungry dynamic for all of these organizations want to grow their product, replace other product, very competitive, whatever the case may be. But I think how you approach any of those partners, it's creating the right partnerships for you to expand and cover your own bench, your own capability. And the value is that I don't have to create 7 surgeon specialists when I'm only going to use 1 a month on them or whatever the case may be. And I think that's the real value. And I think it's easily recognized with OEMs that it's well accepted to have partners to help you grow your business, to cover your expertise from that perspective, right?
That's excellent. That's excellent. Excellent feedback. A couple other things with the SPDs that we've found is when we typically do an audit, and I think Andres kind of mentioned this, a lot of folks have issues with trying to figure out, well, why am I not getting credit for this? What's going on? I know I've got the right customers. And then who is the gold standard for reporting? So we find a lot of reporting issues inside of Microsoft. So, and actually Andres mentioned this earlier, there's, when we talk to a partner, we say, hey, in order to fix this, we need 3 things from you. We need one, we need your current customer list in your CRM. That's your CRM, right? And we don't like actually details, but we just need that. Number two, we go into Partner Center and we look at the Partner Center list. But the gold standard of customers, okay, the platinum standard you get is your distributor. And we ask you to download that distributor, because what ends up happening is when you do the cross compare with those, that's where you're going to find a lot of breakage. You're going to find that, wow, I've got 20 customers at Arrow, right, or PAX 8, right, or whatnot. But wait a minute, I don't have those customers in my Microsoft portal, right? So Andres, just to the nuance on that really is why, what is the breakage there? Why do you see that breakage, and what's the attribution to that?
There's a couple pieces there. Probably the most important one is that if you won an account from another partner, that customer is associated with that previous partner 99% of the time. Maybe the partner was also oblivious to this, and so they didn't actually do that work, and nobody's getting credit. But you see that oftentimes. The other thing that you see quite a bit is the customer might be enterprise level. And so Microsoft actually controls that engagement from a licensing standpoint. And so you need to go ahead and either do a CPOR claim or a PAL association to get credit for the work that you're influencing inside of the totality of their engagement with Microsoft. The other piece that also comes into play is what path are they going to be associating with, right? If this is a CSP customer, it's not going to be a CPOR claim, it's going to be a CSP claim. You got to make sure that they're listed in your Partner Center as a customer. If they're not through CSP and it's, if they're on an EA, then that's when PAL or CPOR, some of these other things come into play. So there's a lot of different ways that you get credit for customers, and every customer is different. On top of that, you're fighting all the other partners who want to get credit for that business too. So a lot of times, Sherman mentions it, we just need to we need to get into a dogfight with support. And, because you're so worried about servicing your customers, you might not have the time to sit down and go back and forth on 6 or 7 email chain with support, get on a call with them, explain to them the situation, and go into more detail to figure out the resolution. And so that's typically where I see a lot of the biggest issues arising when it comes to associations.
I wonder if people give me a reaction. The reactions are, who here is having trouble getting Microsoft support to actually answer your questions and deal with your support tickets? I would love to see anybody give me a thumbs up or a maybe a thumbs. I don't know. I'm curious here what people think about the support process. Or maybe you don't want to because we're on a call and you might get called out, but it's okay. We know what the answer is. All right, Eric, what do you got going on, bud? What's your thoughts?
To that, or just my comment there?
No, your comment there. Your comment.
Oh, I was just curious. In my history, a lot of my work dealt with mergers and acquisitions. What happens in that case when you're claiming your customer and they get acquired? Because Andres just said it just kind of sticks around, but that's kind of a unique scenario, I think, right?
I can address that.
Yeah, let's go, Andres.
So if you guys don't do anything, like if the partner who won the deal does nothing, the customer is going to stay with that previous partner because there's been no activity that's happened to actually switch that engagement. However, if you lost the deal and another partner comes in and they do that work and now you've been removed from that account, this is the nuance a lot of partners don't understand. Microsoft is not focused on how many customers you added this year. They're focused on how many customers you added beyond what you lost. So if you added 4 customers but you lost 5, you're actually at -1. Microsoft recognizes that as a loss. You're not going to get any points in your net customer adds. I've had partners wanting to yell at me, taking it out on me. I added 4 customers. I don't understand. I should be maxed out. I got more than 3. It doesn't make any sense. I said, but you lost 5. And so Microsoft is only worried about how much are you growing, right? They want to associate themselves with the best, fastest growing partners in the industry. And so customer retention is just as critical as acquisition as well for those accounts.
Excellent feedback. I think that was really good. Thanks everybody for hitting up the poll. I really appreciate it. So some of you would like a one-on-one for SPD changes. We're always here to just talk to you, but I do like the 4 people that said, seriously, I need more cowbell, because we all need a little more cowbell to make our life go a little bit better, on a Friday afternoon or whatnot. A little more cowbell there. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and unless there's any other questions about the SPDs, big changes are happening. There's a lot of nuances to that. We're happy to give you some feedback if you'd like us to contact you. But new SMB path, you can also go to your go to membership, go to overview for SPD paths. And if you want to look at what Azure is going to look like, go to the modern work. There's already a SMB path for modern work right now. That's the way your portal is going to look like for all of yours. You'll get a notification if you qualify right away for that, which is going to be really nice. So you don't have to kind of wait around. But the main thing is always go to Microsoft Partner Portal, then go into membership, and then kind of see where you're at with that. Now, on the certifications part, this has also been a bit of a deal, a bit of a deal for folks. They don't have the people that are certified to get the SPD. So we've contacted, or we partnered with another group actually out of India that has over 400 certified Azure specialists, level 300, 400s, and we did a deal with them to do this thing called certification as a service. So if you are in a situation where your gold is about to expire and now you need the SPD, but you don't have the horses to take those certifications, no problem. Well, give me a call. I'll put you in touch with them. We have no financial arrangement. This is just a good thing. And what they'll do is they'll say, hey, how many certs do you need? You need 4, you need 5? Okay, no problem. They got it. Within 30 days, they'll assign 4 or 5 certified individuals for you. Number 2, you get it's a service. You got to pay for the service. But what you end up doing is you get one of those individuals full time. It's kind of cool. Level 300, 400 architect. They can do the back end work for you. So it's not just you're paying to get the SPD, but you're actually getting some help on the back end. These guys are the best of the best. We've helped about 20 partners with this, and not one partner has called us and complained about the service. Now, would you be using them for the rest of your life? I don't know. They do a lot of things over there. They do a lot of extras, which are really fantastic. However, I've always looked at this certification as a service, as more of a bridge. It's a bridge, okay? It's a bridge to help you get through this over the next 30, 60, 90 days, especially if your gold or silver are going away. Holy crap, right? We've got to figure this out. Use it as a bridge. Use them for 2 or 3 months until you can get your technical team to get those certs. Now, we also know this one thing. The inmates run the asylum at most of our organizations, where our people just won't take the certs. They won't take the training, right? What I would suggest that you do moving forward, okay, is to let them know it's a management by objective. Hey, things are changing. The industry's changing. To be part and be employed here, you have to go in and get these. I know it's a little rough, but hey, things have changed. 10,000 new workloads in the last 5 years. You can't be the best fax repairman forever. Like, time to move on. Time to get learn the new stuff and whatnot. So Manju said, I suggest, not Sherman. That's where AI models come into place. Yeah, that's pretty good stuff. I appreciate that comment. All right. So with that being said, I want to get into unless there's any questions from the audience, and you don't want to be on, you can just put a chat in the chat, I'll go ahead. But if there's anything to do with SPDs, we know what's going on with this. Okay, so what about for ISVs? Good question.
A little bit of nuance there.
Okay, Andres, do you want to just weigh in on that?
There is a little bit of nuance. If you're an ISV, you can definitely still get the normal path through the solution designations that are currently available. But there is also a new program that Microsoft just released. I don't know exactly how long ago, but it's basically a designation for software certification. I can't remember the exact verbiage that's used for it, But if you, specialize in a certain technology set, you can actually get certified in that space as well. And it works very similarly to a solution designation. So more nuance there. I'm not, there's a lot more information there than just that, but there is another path for ISVs as well. I'm happy to chat more about that.
So, actually, and that's very good too. So let me just talk about two things. Working with Microsoft. You want to work with Microsoft? Okay. If you're a services partner, the holy grail or the thing to get to is advanced specialization. If you're a services partner, right? You're showing them, hey, I can do this. I got the certs. So you got to get an SPD, advanced specialization, right? That's the highest level. As an ISV, a little bit different, okay? You got to get into the marketplace. You got to be co-sell transactable. And you have to actually start pushing business through the marketplace. Now, the marketplace is interesting because there's a cost to do the marketplace. It's about 3% of the actual deal. So whatever you're actually putting in there, I would add an additional 3% because that's what Microsoft is taking off the top. But as an ISV, then you get put into a scenario where it's all about rungs. How much money are you pushing through the marketplace? Will then increase your benefits, increase your status within Microsoft. So we know in services, it's a network partner, services partner, SPD, advanced specialization, right? Now you can get working with Microsoft sellers. ISV different. Marketplace, make sure your IP co-sell transactable. That's the main thing inside of there. And then lastly, you start pushing business through there, you raise and you start getting more benefits and more benefits and more benefits working with Microsoft. Now, we do have a partner of ours that we helped that was an ISV. They're the top tier, and they were asking us, well, Sherman, how do we get more visibility with Microsoft? And I said, well, why don't you become a hybrid because you already do a lot of this infrastructure. So we help them actually go through the whole SPD process and advanced specialization process. And now they're the two-pronged approach. They're an ISV who has a Mac-enabled transactable offer, but they also have advanced specialization. They are the holy grail for Microsoft. Microsoft is now bringing them into all these different deals, and everyone is super, super happy, right? So this kind of goes back to when I asked Dilo about, hey, alignment, taking advantage, right? That's kind of why you want to do it. Okay, let's see if there's any other questions in there. Nope. Okay, let's get into our next topic here, which is policy, governance, and security. Okay. With the rapid changes in the Microsoft ecosystem, staying compliant and maintaining governance is more important than ever, right? We know that, right? Many partners overlook security updates, which can put them at risk. Now, some of you may not be, but I guess to Dilo, can you talk a little bit about this? This is something that you're kind of more involved in. And partnering and whatnot. I'll let you weigh in on this area.
Sure. I think, more than ever, we all heard about ransomware. We've heard about nightmare stories, companies, etc. But even, thinking back when partners and clients started working heavily remote, people kind of reassessed a lot of their security process, right? Whether they bring their own devices, et cetera. But now here we are 4 years later, almost 5 years later. And I think from my experience that partners have to approach this topic and emphasize more transparency and reassurance. I think they communicate the measures that they have in place to safeguard data and ensure compliance with industry standards. So typically, you've got to consider a whole different responsibility around data privacy. Maybe you currently in your work term agreements that you somehow anonymize and secure to prevent unauthorized access and what you're going to guarantee or perform. Compliance to ensure that their customers that have to comply, whether that's HIPAA, whether it's an ISO, whether it's a GDPR, whatever the case may be, even a SOC 2. I think the element of encryption, and I think people kind of at a high level understand encryption, but even more so, prove that my solution is enforcing encryption, right? I think that access controls, to discuss stringent access controls in space, multi-factors authentication, role-based based access, regular audits that have to be performed, and then your user education that provide resources and training to your customers and your employees in order to make sure best practices are performed. But addressing these areas, they can help alleviate the concerns and build that trust with customers. I've definitely seen clients, MSPs, who've lost their clients because they had stepped up, they merged, they acquired, they had to raise their bar of those elements. So I think that's where you need to revisit around policy. I think whether you are creating the exact, not just feel free, right? But you feel insured from that process, right? I think a lot of those also come into play because of co-pilot conversation, about AI conversations. People want to learn how to leverage that. Even if I'm an SMB, right? There's interest to understand how to leverage technology, yet still be safe, still be secured, right?
Yeah, I'm curious. 'Cause I think a lot of us lead with security when we're doing a initial engagement. It's like, well, let's secure things first, right? But with AI now, I've been hearing a bunch of partners saying, well, we're still waiting on our co-pilot because of security concerns, or how to do that. So I guess my question to the group, as well as I'll get back to Dilo here, is how many of you are leading with security first with all of your clients? Are you sitting and having that conversation? And then on top of that, do you feel like and Dilo, what because you talk to a lot of partners, do you feel like they're well versed enough with security, or they need help with it?
No, I think just like the question that was just asked, that Eric said, are we talking compliance or regulatory or internal policy, right? And we threw out 3 words: policy, governance, and security. And that's where the immediate clarification comes out. That's why. And to answer Eric, yes, I'm talking about policy. I'm talking about internal policy of your own business as well as your clients. They need to adopt a policy. And that leads to, maybe they need to lead to cybersecurity. Maybe they believe that they need to have that insurance. And without a policy, without governance and this whole security plan, it wouldn't. And I think this even opened up eyes even more so because of that co-pilot AI scenarios, right?
Yeah.
Right?
100%. Has anybody here run into or have an idea about or a nuance with security when it comes to co-pilot and data and AI? I'd be curious to see if anyone's running into something that's a little bit different. We can share with the group here that we should be aware of. Maybe you're running into something. If anyone would like to put some information in there, I'd be curious to know about that. You're just hearing different things in the marketplace. How about partnering? Do you see value, Dilo, in partnering with security specific organizations, or how do you look at it from that perspective?
Yeah, I think a lot of organizations, fiducial responsibilities, they've heard the value of saving money, get more production out of their employees by leveraging some AI or co-pilot solution. I think, again, when it comes to addressing those security concerns, partners need to help them realize some of those approaches that let them test it. Because all of a sudden the CFO says, well, I don't want our financial data being accessed to anybody but my kingdom, right? And that's a true fact. That's a concern. But that's where these policies need to be built around it when they go down the path of co-pilot and other AI and LLMs, when large language methods to leverage the value. There certainly has to be a policy. There has to be a governance, and to enforce that. And a lot of partners are used to it from a network policy best practice. When it comes to sharing data, who can have access it, who can share the marketing discussions, who can share, whether it's confidential, whether it's, if there's intellectual property, right? Those could go at those levels. None of us all commonly go into those scenarios, but there certainly, again, from a data privacy and protection, all comes back into play. But again, to reinforce you, I think that, Eric, I just want to reassert how much I appreciate you calling that out. It's around those internal policy scenarios that come into play. And from those disciplines who are responsible, from a CIO, a CTO, a chief marketing, a CEO, et cetera. Yeah.
Thank you. Eric?
Yeah, I'm working with a large customer, and the term compliance is unfortunately vague for organizations when you mention it because of that. And there are many organizations of every size that have to deal with regulatory compliance. But I find that they don't pay attention to that enough. They'll go after the internal, policy compliance.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you ask them, hey, are you supposed to be keeping this data? And they're like, hands in the air, I don't know, or we just keep it just to be safe. And I've found in the financial industries, you can get big fines for keeping data longer than you should.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Whether that's 2 years, whether it's 5 years. And you have from that audit prove that how did you destroy it, right? And that's where some of those audits come into play as well, right? So you're exactly right. And I do think there's a lot more value having a partner. We certainly, and just like Crancer's team and what we do to help review that, anyone who's participating in these events, we certainly would like to offer that. I know that Josh posted his calendar to set that time up, but would love to have a deeper conversation, Eric, from that for sure. Yeah.
Wonderful. Let's see. Let's move. Well, thank you guys for doing some of the polls there. I really do appreciate it. Security is such a big thing. I think AI is just taking the wind out of everything else. And we have to be really, really careful that we're also focusing on that. Going into the next topic is leveraging partnerships. This is, I think, one of your biggest attributes. You're, I think, like the Michael Jordan of partnerships, better together moving forward. You want to kind of talk a little bit about that?
Yeah.
Finding the right partners for your business?
Sure. I think, and just like us speaking, and you working with our organization, the value of how we expand, I would consider, years ago, I think there was a mindset that anybody who's a competitor can't be a partner, right? But I'll just share a little story. And this is a good old country boy who will share from West Tennessee. And it's about the guy who raised corn. And every year at the fair, he always won the blue ribbon for the best produced corn, right? I'm talking corn on a cob, corn, right? And he always shared all of his neighbors who wanted to raise corn. And a knowledgeable person interview, not the media's not ignorant, said, why is it if you're competing that you would share everyone else? And he said, son, don't you understand how that pollination occurs? If I have a lot of weak neighbors' product, it'll make mine weaker. Okay. So when I think about partners, right, I think about people who will help me make stronger. And maybe I am facilitating their strength, but the point is, it's going to make me stronger too. And that's why I used to refer as an EVP, an enablement value partner, right? I had a position in another organization that said I'm the EVP, and I looked down my registry, and I didn't see any position called EVP. You know, in my my tree of all my past members of the family, I saw farmer, teacher. There weren't any EVPs. So I coined that's the Hoe Enablement Value Partner, and I fully believe in whether there's 7 partners, whether it's 2. Leverage that. It will accelerate your business. It'll fill the gaps, right? You can definitely extend more coverage. What business have you turned down because you didn't have that capability? Now, but go back and fill in. If I had a partner to do that, I could expand and grow my business that much more. And there's the equation to figure out what is the value of a partner.
So, that's the reason why I brought this up too, is I wanted to let our audience know, Dilo has got, fingers, not fingers, but he just knows about everybody in the business, when it comes to OEMs and partnerships. If you have any questions, please reach out to Dilo. And guys, can we put Dilo's, Reba, can we put Dilo's email and then LinkedIn in the chat window for everybody, just to make sure? Thank you very much. But if you're looking for partnerships and certain things, you might want to give Dilo a jingle, because he can certainly, whether it's a manufacturer, whether OEM, whether it's a partner, he is the best in the business, and it's really neat. I'm glad that we're partnered with him. We're starting to do some things together as well, because we complement each other. But we have separate businesses completely. But it's a better together scenario. So we like his influence, he likes our influence, and we're good. So yeah, please reach out to Dilo on that. So today I know this just went so fast. It's 11:56 already. Holy crap! Today we went over the SPDs. We went over silver and gold competencies going away. We talked a little bit about security, compliance, and governance, and lastly we talked about partnerships. Next month we're going to have Diversified Robotics on. They're probably one of the top partners in AI right now, and they're going to be talking about how they work with Microsoft partners to help them enable AI. So we do hope you'll come to this next week. Dilo will be back as well. I know we have a shorter stint today, but he'll be a contributing member moving forward, as well as we'll have another organization called Tech Hub, that is a professional services organization that is going to be on here. So there. Last thing I want to call out, Jeffrey DiMaria is now went on his own, and he has started his own new partner business, and I want to make sure I call that out. Jeffrey DiMaria is a good friend of the Voice of the Microsoft partner, a great friend of the Crancer Group, and we want to all be able to help him out as much as possible, if he can. So please, Jeff, you got 2 minutes, man. You want to come off a mic and just say what you do? I want to give you this opportunity, brother.
Wow. Thank you, Sherman. I really appreciate that opportunity. I have the sun behind me, apparently. I'm really thankful for you giving me just a moment. I've launched X Monthly, trying to help fill a need in the market. I'm actually thankful to see Dilo on here. We've chatted in the past, and just some of the service capabilities, just seeing how partners can come together. When you launched this call today, we highlighted you with our second guest post on X Monthly, just about some of the services that you offer, because, I do believe better together. We're helping partners solve and deliver more services to their clients. Having been in a distributor role, I got to work with many, let's say, business application type partners, and they're really good at what they do. I've had sessions leading about how to double, triple your revenue and attacking the M365 opportunity. So I'm taking this chance and I'm betting on my partners to kind of let me work with you to capture that M365 opportunity. We have a very defined program. We're hosting private CSP briefings for our partners, funded or not by Microsoft. We're doing it. So that's what we're doing to our partners and making it available. So thank you for the 2 minutes. looking forward to sharing everyone else's X, bringing the community together. And thank you again, Sherman, for this opportunity.
100%, brother. Always, man. You've always been a great, great friend and partner to us. And I always want to, my motto is always give first, never ask anything in return, because it'll just come back around. I have a guardian angel. I know I do. And I think it's because that's been my mantra from the very beginning. Anyways, we're just at time. I want to say thank you, everybody, for coming to this. Hopefully you like the new format. It's a little bit of work in progress. We're going to kind of move this together, get it a little bit better. So next month, it'll be even tighter. But this would be good. Actually, tell me, would you like this new format? I'm just curious. Right before you guys all leave, yes, no, heck yeah. I'm gonna ask my friends to start joining. I'd be curious. Yeah, and also, yeah, if you have other partners that you know of, bring them here, because it's going to be really ask us anything. That's really what it is. You got a question about Microsoft that you can't get an answer from them? Ask us. We'll figure it out for you. All right, with that being said, last thing of my tagline, right? Dreamers are the one who talk about what they're going to do, but leaders are the ones that do what they talk about. Ask yourself the question today, are you a dreamer or are you a leader? Thank you so much for your time today. We look forward to seeing you again. Have a great afternoon. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sherman. Thank you.
Thanks all. Thanks, everyone.